Has someone placed a hex on you? Or do you think you might be cursed? Well, what is a hex? People say that hexes are extremely evil types of curses, but people don't know what the true meaning of a hex is. The word hex is short for the word hexagram, which is a 6-pointed star. In the early Hebrew religions, when they start their beginning story starts off something like this. In the beginning, there were 6. The number 6 correlates with the number for man. Now, people say that the reason the number 6 correlates with man is because 6 is the atomic number for carbon and all this and that. But that might be true. But when you look at the number 6 geometrically, what the number 6 signifies is, take a circle. You can fit exactly 6 of those same circles around the center one perfectly. 6 is the geometrical, the mathematical, the geometry, algebraic number of the circle. It's not the square, it's not the triangle, it's the hexagon, the hexagram. And a circle is a binding. Anyone that knows magic, they talk about how you make your circles. You draw your sigils in the circle. There might be another sigil outside of that circle with a circle around it. Circles separate. Each of these circles is a binding, a field, containing field of energy, like a wall that spirit or energy cannot cross one way or another. Now a hexagram is the geometric extension of the circle. A hexagram, a hex, is a binding spell that's placed on someone. You can hex yourself. You can place a binding spell on yourself if you want, to your own accord, to benefit you. You can place a hex on someone else to benefit them. You can place a hex on someone to curse them. So a hex and a curse is not the same thing. A hex is merely just a hexagram binding spell. That's what a hex is. It's a hexagram, which is a binding spell. Now, curses, on the other hand, curses can be dealt with in 3 ways. One, you can ignore them, pretend like they don't exist, which really doesn't do anything. There's curses everywhere. Everywhere. Another thing you could do is you could try to fight back. You can try to place your own curses on someone else. Or the third option, which a lot of people don't realize, is you can simply take that energy that they're giving you and you can, how can I put this? You can put yourself in their shoes. You can merge your consciousness with theirs. Like Aleister Crowley, one thing that I'm really not a fan of the guy, but one thing he would do is he would take someone walking down the street and he would start walking like them. He would start merging his consciousness with theirs. And what he would do is he would all of a sudden trip, and he'd make the person trip. This has been reported. He was able to do these things by what we consider empathy, by putting yourself in someone else's shoes, trying to be that person. And you can do that with a curse. You can become that person consciously and then ascribe to absorb fully that curse that they have placed on you. And then inside that consciousness where you're merged with them, you place a hex on that. You place a binding, your own hexagram binding on that, so that way when you're out of that meditation, that curse doesn't apply to you anymore. It applies to them because you were absorbing it as them. You were taking that curse with acceptance, with knowledge and understanding and acceptance of, all right, this is okay, full surrender as them, not as you. You do not surrender to this. You become them and they surrender to this. Therefore, you place their curse back on them. And by placing a binding hexagram around that state of consciousness that you enter, when you exit out of that conscious state, out of that meditation, and you exit out of that hexagram, you're no longer in the curse. That curse that they put on you is bound within that hexagram where they are receiving the curse.